Hello everyone! Today I'm here to do another recommendations videos for you. So I've done this video a few times on my channel now where I went on Instagram and said, hey, ask me for specific, I actually said that word right, kudos to me, recommendations, you know, like a beach read, a book set in a certain place, a certain trope. And you guys definitely come through like you always do with particular recommendations. And I have a stack of books here that I want to recommend to you for your specific recommendation request. So first up, I have People on Vacation. And for this one, I was like, I don't have a lot of books with people on vacation on them, weirdly enough. I don't know why, I just don't. So the one I could think of that you probably have heard of 50,000 times, but it's the one I thought of, is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This is about, it's another hate to love book in case you're interested in that. It's about two people that have to go on this vacation to Maui together. And yeah, if you want like a tropical vacation summary read, look no further than this one, although I'm sure you have heard of that. So I've tried to pick other books that maybe weren't so well known. Speaking of which, the next request I had is for an epic road trip. And for the one I thought of for this one, bear with me because I just talked about a really summary book and I'm about to talk about a really Christmassy book. I have a cross-country road trip by Courtney Walsh, I believe. I read this on a whim this last year and I loved it. It was one of my favorites of the year, honestly. Like I was very surprised. It's about two people that kind of have a second chance romance going on. They have to travel, you know, from California to, I don't know exactly where, but either way, it's a pretty epic road trip and it definitely has road trip vibes. And I don't hear anybody talk about this book for road trip vibes nor holiday vibes, which it has both. So that book is great to read during Christmas time. Just, you know, save your epic road trip book for, the Christmas time, but I really enjoyed that one. And again, I've heard no one talk about it. Next up, we have a book similar to Float Plan. So if you don't know, Float Plan was like my favorite book of last year. I loved it. It's a very kind of sad book, a book about starting over, a book about grief. And for this one, I picked out two books because I felt that there was two books that really kind of encompassed that. Forgive me as I'm going through my stack. First up is Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This one is a sad book. Like, goodness me, it'll make you cry. So this is about this character named Elsie who marries this guy who she hasn't really known a lot, but they're madly in love. And then basically one night he goes to get cereal and he gets in a car accident and passes away. And it's about her like coming to terms with that, with her grief of meeting her mother-in-law who she's never met before. It's very similar to Float Plan in the way that it's about grief and talking about grief and how different people handle grief differently. And it's a very sad one. The other one I have is one of my favorites, The Happy Ever Playlist by Abby Messon. Again, this is about a character who loses her fiance, and this is about her finding love again and kind of dealing again with grief. So both of these books are great books for grief. I will say this one's a little bit more happier, even though it's got a really big sad spot in it. I mean, they're both about grief and losing somebody that you love, which are really hard books to read, which, I mean, you guys know I don't love sad books, but here I am saying my favorite book of the year last year was a sad book. Either way, they're books similar in that where it's grief, but there's kind of a silver lining to it. Next up, we have Rock and Roll Similar to Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And for this one, I thought of The Unraveling of Cassidy Holmes by Alyssa Sloan. I read this a couple years ago, and it's similar to the fact of Daisy Jones and the fact that it's kind of like, it's not so much documentary, like an interview style, but it's mainly about this pop group that was really popular, and one of the members of the pop group dies, and so you kind of go through them dealing with that. Also, you get to get flashbacks of how they became the pop group that they are, and it's got that kind of rock and roll vibe to it where they had similar things going on with publicity, dealing with fame and things like that, how it kind of, you know, really structured their life and things like that. And I don't hear a lot of people talk about this book, but I don't know if any other books that are similar to Daisy Jones and the Six. So, you know, let me know, because I love Daisy Jones and the Six, and I would love to read another book kind of like that. So this is the only one I could think that was kind of on the same, maybe not the exact same road, but maybe adjoining roads, if you will. Next up is Modern Day Disney Retelling. And for this one, is another book I read last year, If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy. It's a modern day Cinderella retelling, and this one was set like in the reality world, like kind of the Bachelorette, if you will. And this is actually going to be a series of modern day retellings of Disney stories. In fact, the next book coming coming out is called By the Book by Jasmine Gilroy, which I believe is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. So if you're like a big fan of Beauty and the Beast, or if you're a big fan of Disney retellings and you want more of an adult spin to them, check this series out. I thought it was cute. It wasn't like amazing, but it was cute. Yeah, I like this right here. A book that makes you forget how awful the world is and reminds you that good people still exist, which we live in a very kind of, it's a very scary world right now with all the things happening in Ukraine and things like that. And it's just terrifying. But you know, I understand you want to read a very happy book, and I had that one for you. The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune is exactly the book for you. When I read this book, it's like literally reading a ball of sunshine. Like, this is like sunshine in a book, if you will. It is adorable. It's about like this kind of world where you have magical youth, and this guy that works for the government and has to go inspect like this foster home for him, and where all the bad ones are sent. It has like a garden gnome, like a monster type of guy, the devil's son. But it is like so heartwarming and adorable, and it will make you realize how there are still good people out in this world. Trust me. So this book, if you are down, if you're feeling like just this book will bring you right on up and make you smile like from ear to ear. Trust me on that. Books that have a pet involved. For this one, I always go back to the same one, and it's by a series by Julia London. I think it's called, I don't know what the series is called, but this is the second book, the only one I physically own. It started with a dog. I actually prefer the first one more, You Lucky Dog. But either way, both of them have a really big emphasis in dogs in them, because I know we could do a whole video of books that are deceiving with, like, I know the illustration covers are in, they draw me in, that's for sure, but illustrations with dogs on the cover even draw me in more. But there has been a lot of books that have dogs on the cover and the dog's not in them at all. I'm like, if you put a dog in the cover, it better be in the book, like a little bit at least. If it's not in the book at all, like, what the heck? But either way, believe you me that this series, dogs are really a prominent feature of this book. In fact, the first book is about these characters that they both have basset hounds, and then they come home to the wrong basset hound because the dog walker switched them up. So the whole plot kind of revolves around the dogs. So if you love dogs, you need to read this one. I know that there's other ones too, but those are the ones that I could just think of. Next up, he has Best Friends or Sisters. And for this one, I'm gonna kind of go with a different kind of vibe, and that is The Kitchen Front by Jennifer Ryan. So this book takes place in World War II, and it's really about rations and about how a lot of these women had to cook with these rations and how it was very bare minimum. And there's this contest where you have to cook with your rations. Whoever wins gets things, da 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 da. We follow like 4 different women, and they're competitors, but then they become really fast friends and become kind of like form a sisterhood. And it's just a very heartwarming read that is all about empowering women and just women surviving and doing amazing things. And nobody talks about this book, but I loved it so much. It was just so heartwarming and so nice, and definitely a book for sure about best friends / sisters. Romances with a Single Dad. For this one, I actually just read a book this year with romances for a single dad, or romance with a single dad. Weather Girl by Rachel Lynn Solomon. The love interest in this one, Russell, he is a single dad, and it's really prominent in this book, and it's adorable. I really enjoyed it. So if you want a book about a single dad, check this one out for sure. A book with a cinnamon roll love interest. I like this. I don't know where the term cinnamon roll came from when we just started describing like people as cinnamon rolls, but I mean, I'm here for it because I love cinnamon rolls and they're ooey gooey. No, I get it now. I get it. But either way, the one I thought of, like my favorite love interest, is Jonas from Reborn Yesterday. This is in a paranormal romance. It's about vampires. You guys know I love vampires. But Jonas is like this dapper cinnamon roll of a love interest that if he knocked on my door today, I'd be like, let's go. I love him a ton. I love this series. This is my favorite book in this series, but he is for sure a cinnamon roll love interest that I would never say no to. Next up is Books to Read Outside While Kids Are Playing. Easy, chick lit, happy vibes. Well, you've come to the right place, because I feel you, because I read a lot outside. Like, you know, I read a lot because my son loves to play outside, but now that I have my daughter, she's getting big enough to like sit in the swing where she can sit outside, and I'm always there monitoring her, of course, but I have my Kindle out there now, so I can, you know, sneak a few pages here and there. So I read outside a lot. lot. And for this, I would recommend exactly that, easy kind of chick lit romance vibes. For this one, I thought of The House on the Cerulean Sea. Again, it's a great book to read outside. It's just got that like happiness vibes to it. And the other one is Sophie Kinsella. Any Sophie Kinsella book will do. My favorites that I'll recommend to you are, her latest one was actually pretty good. I actually really enjoyed it, The Party Crasher. And I always recommend I've Got Your Number. They're both really funny, lighthearted, romantic books that I really enjoyed and that are perfect to read outside while the kids are playing. Next up, we have Dual Point of View Slow Burn Romance. And this is one I just actually finished. The Roughest Draft by Emily Wibberley and Asma Mabroka. This is about two authors that wrote a couple books, got to be bestsellers. They never talked to each other again, but they have one book left on their contract. So it's about them writing their last book, and you get to see both their point of views, and it is slow burn to the max. You want a book with yearning and anticipation and like the will they ever. This is the perfect book for that, so I will recommend this one. It's not a book for everyone because they don't communicate at all. They're like, communication, who is she? I don't know, but I enjoyed it a lot. Next up is Coffee Shop / Barista. And for the one I thought about, this one is Not Like the Movies by Carrie Winfrey. So this book is actually like kind of set in a coffee shop. We have a main character, I forget her name. I think her name's Chloe. She works as a barista, and her love interest is Nick, I believe, who owns the whole coffee shop. And he has always had a crush on her, but she's never really felt it, but now maybe she's feeling it. And of course, it's all set in the backdrop of a coffee shop. Fake relationship to love. Again, I have a whole video about that if you want, but for this one, I'm going to go to Island of Pharaoh by Priscilla Liberates. This is about a couple that has to fake a relationship to appease appease the girl's parents, and they're in the Miami Keys, the Florida Keys. Is that right? Either way, it was super cute. Again, a great summer read for sure. Next up, we have Enticing from the First Chapter. This one is going to be my favorite book of the year so far. In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. This is a thriller that it enticed me from the very first chapter. In the last sentence of this book, I was like, oh my gosh, so freaking good. So good. It gets a lot of hype here on BookTube, but let me tell you, with a really good reason. Next up, we have Age Gap Romance. For this one, I thought of Well Matched by Jen DeLuca. It's the last book in her series. Basically, we have a single mom, and she's, I think, in her 40s, and she gets involved with a much younger guy that I want to say is in his like late 20s, maybe early 30s. So it's not like a crazy age gap, but it is an age gap. But I really enjoyed it, and that is a main focal point of the book, is the age gap these two characters have and how they can't be together because of it and things like that. But it was really cute. Again, steamy, cute. As another fake relationship one too, in case you want that. Next up is Wedding Setting. For this one, I chose the series I read a long time ago. It's a Nora Roberts series. I think it's her Vision and White series, but it's basically like each book in the series takes place from a different character's point of view that runs this wedding business. So they own, and so one book is about the photographer that does the pictures there. The next book is about the florist. The next book is about the baker, I think, and the last book is about like the planner, the one that holds all of it up. And it's just really cute books. I really enjoyed them. You know, they're still like the only Nora Roberts book I read, but nevertheless, there they are. And the last one I have is good books to read to 3 to 4 year olds, or books they can read themselves and they learn to read. This is a great question. So my son's library can match my own, honestly. Like, he gets a ton of books. I buy him a lot of books, and I've been so fortunate to get a lot of books like from publishing companies. But just so you know, he is 7. He's still not learning how to read. You guys know he's autistic, but he still loves books. But I think the perfect books for that, for 3 to 4 year olds that are kind of in that stage where they're learning to read for themselves, are the ones that are numbered. So you have the ones by Harper who are the I Can Read series, and they have different levels. So you have like number 1 is for them as beginning readers. So the great ones in that are Danny the Dinosaur. They're classic. They're a series one. Clark the Shark. My son loves Clark the Shark. Duck Duck Dinosaur is another great one. These just are all great. They have so many different genres and like different subjects, but they all have like the numbers on it. So those are great. Likewise with probably the infamous Pete the Cat. If you guys don't know Pete the Cat, you're missing out. Pete the Cat is great ones, but they're just like easy words, like, you know, like just easy sentences for kids to read and to understand. So Pete the Cat, like I said, like these are all Pete the Cat, so they're great. So they're great ones to get your child that I think that are easy for them to read. They can learn sight words, things like that. They're fun. They're, you know, have good things to them. What else do I have here? I have another like level 1, Curious George. My son loves Curious George. This is by HMH, but either way, look for books that have the levels on them. Another one is the Scholastic series. They have their Acorn series. They're not like numbers or anything, but they are perfect for beginner readers. My son in particular loves the Dragon series. In fact, this one has like fallen out because he's read it so much, but these are great ones where they're not like a lot of words in them, but they can learn how to read them, and they actually have like chapters and stuff, but they're not like lengthy. So the Dragon series, like, I mean, look, I got Dragon Halloween, I got Dragon Christmas, I got Dragon Gets By. He loves the Dragon one. Likewise with the Do You Like My Bike? This one in particular is probably really great because it's literally just about 2 characters. The only qualm I have with them is they fall apart if you use them a lot. It's just 2 characters going back and forth in a conversation. So I have Do You Like My Bike and Do You Like My Sleepover. We also have Sparkly New Friends. So yeah, I want like a full library tour when it comes to my son's books. Let me know. My daughter's starting to get a collection as well. So yeah, make sure my kids are well stocked with books because I will always buy them a book over a toy any day. That's not to say we don't have a lot of toys, because good Lord we do, but if they want a book more, done. Either way, that was the Instagram recommendations video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, that you got some good recommendations from it, out of it. If you want like more kids books recommendations videos, let me know, because I have a lot that I would love to talk about that I don't know. I just feel like I never have a platform and that nobody would really care about it. But if you want like, you know, some of my personal favorite kids books that I think are great for babies, books that I think are great for like toddlers, little kids, let me know. I'd be more than happy to do that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and thank you for watching. Bye.